This is FinTech Futures at Money20 Europe, and I'm joined by Lee McNabb of NatWest. Lee, thanks for joining us. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
Well, I'm very tired. I've done, as you said, 20-odd thousand steps daily, but it's great atmosphere. It's great to see, well, it's cliched, but the community kind of come together, see old faces, meet new faces, make new connections, strengthen old connections. It's beneficial, I think, more for that and the engagement than the kind of chats and talks, etc., that you'll see on stage.
Well, thanks again for taking the time out to speak with me. Just to get started, would like to quickly let us know a bit more about yourself and your role at NatWest.
Yeah, sure. So, Lee McNabb, I am Head of Group Strategy, Partnerships and Innovation for Payments at NatWest. NatWest, UK bank, but we are still scale kind of across the globe. We have about 20 million retail customers, a million-ish business and corporate customers. We're the biggest corporate bank in the UK. Payments-wise, we process circa 70 trillion pounds of value every single year, so we're a systemic player, and we do payments and banking for everyone from kind of youth right the way up to SMEs, corporates, and the government and other banks and building societies. So from a payments perspective, we are systemically important to the UK, I like to say. So our role is how we provision payments for our customers and how we try and innovate and experiment for what is next, which I know we'll talk about through this.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I mean, diving into the payment space, I mean, given the rapid rate of technical change that we're seeing at the moment, how have you at NatWest approached your technical innovation strategy there when it comes to keeping on top of new developments in payments?
So yeah, it's been a funny one because on one hand it is a rapid rate, and on the other hand it's almost like a slow evolution. And part of our role and my role is how do you separate and get away from the noise, and there's lots of noise at an event like this, and kind of focus on the credible, but understand what parts of the noise you actually need to focus on. And that's about kind of prioritization and some real difficult decisions and open discussions internally and externally. We have to prioritize as a group around our mandated asks, our compliance asks. And what we've done to try and innovate is take those mandates, take that compliance. I'll use ISO as an example. So ISO 20022, huge change across all our rails. So we've used that to facilitate the modernization of our architecture. We've used that to improve what we do and make cheaper future cost to change, quicker to change, and ultimately more innovative. So we've done cloud first focus, API first focus, effectively ring fencing our infrastructure so it's integratable to any future change. Because tech is great, right? But I'm kind of a big advocate of tech can arguably do anything. The regs and the framework and the control and integration, interoperability is what's really important. So you're future-proofing for whatever that tech might look like. And we do that in multiple ways, but one is primarily through partnerships. So when we've done our re-architecture and our modernization, we've worked with multiple fintechs, one notably a firm called Icon. They do stuff for Citi as well. And they offer a framework that's like a kind of a low code. So it's somewhere between buy and build. And it enabled us to be kind of quicker to market. And we did SEPA Instant recently as a kind of new scheme, which was the first one we've done for a while. We've actually gone over and above and invested in Icon. So we're a shareholder. I sit on the board as an observer with our kind of CTO. So that partnership approach is really important. And that's just payments. As part of the group, we invest billions in our tech estate, in modernization, because we're still a bank that's been around for a long time. So we have to unwind a lot of our kind of architectural legacy, if you like. So that's really important focus for us.
Excellent. I mean, you've touched on a few things there, but I mean, which emerging technology in particular do you think you're most focused on at the moment, or you're most excited by?
You know, there's a timeline question here, I think, right? So there's like a now, and there's tech that we know about that needs to evolve. So think about open banking as an example, kind of API first, API driven. It's tech we know and we love, but we need to utilize that tech to bring capabilities and product propositions to market. So commercial variable recurring payments, the evolution of smart data, open finance into things like digital ID, really important for us and any other incumbent provider. And then kind of medium to longer term, and I'm not going to put years on it, but medium to longer term, things like AI and especially agentic AI. You can't walk around this session without understanding and listening and learning about AI and what it's done. You look at some of the big players, Visa, MasterCard, Amazon, Google, all announced agentic AI plays. That's going to change commerce. When you start to layer in AI with things like open banking, and from a more future-looking perspective with things like, let's call them programmable payments, whether it's stablecoins, whether it's central bank digital currencies, whether it's true crypto, that combination is something that I think is going to change the game. mentioning stablecoins. Again, you can't walk around here, listen to anything without stablecoins being mentioned. I'm a bit on the fence in terms of they're credible. The growth is really credible and tangible. There's still a lot of noise, and whether they'll kind of blur into the day-to-day payments that you and I make, especially in kind of developed economies, big question mark. But yeah, when you look at tech, they're all the things that kind of get us excited, but at the same time worried, because like, well, how do we play here? What does it mean for our customers? We'll always come back to what that means for our customer base. That's really important.
So on the AI front, we've also seen fraudsters look to utilize that technology to trick consumers with voice replication and deepfakes these days. How difficult is it to keep ahead of the fraudsters there and to really keep customers protected, I guess, when it comes to trends and fraud?
It is a never-ending, ongoing challenge. And if it was someone from our fraud centre of expertise here, they would be saying exactly the same. They'd probably be greyer than me or potentially bald. But it's a never challenge. So what AI has done is unfortunately in some ways accelerated the criminal element of payments and the fraudulent side, but it's also given us the tools to help combat that. So it's the same war, but it's just slightly different weapons that we're using. And that's it. We've got massive investment in terms of what we do from an AI perspective, whether it's language models, algorithms, whatever it might be, to try and spot the actors, the fakes, and ultimately try and protect our customers. On customers, unfortunately, a lot of the time, the weak link is the customer, purely because of maybe a lack of understanding or a lack of education. So we put a lot of time and effort and money into education of our customers, because ultimately it's about protecting them. There's a fine balance, because it's their money at the end of the day. And we've got plenty of examples where maybe we stop payments and they've gone, but it's my money. But it's only when you try and educate them on what's happening. Because we bank everyone from, as I said, kids right the way through to people who are retired, who've never used a smartphone in their life or use smartphones kind of semi-reluctantly. They're getting attacked in multiple different channels. So we have to adjust our educational approach across those. Colleague education is really important as well. And on the partnership point I mentioned for tech delivery, that applies here. Unfortunately, a lot of the time when you get to the payment, you're too late. And a lot of these fraudsters are emanating from marketplaces. We're quite proud as NatWest to be involved in something called FIRE, and I might get this wrong, but I'll try: fraud, information, reciprocal exchange. So we'll stick with FIRE. Working with Meta, right? Working with Meta and other banks to share anonymized data to help understand where those bad actors are. We've shut down over 20,000 accounts that were fake, that were targeting customers with gig tickets, concert tickets in the UK and the US. Stopping it at source saves the payment even being made. And that's crucially important, and credit to Meta for kind of recognizing that and getting on board with the work that we are doing.
Excellent, sounds great. And I guess further on the consumer side then, what are the key payments trends that you're seeing there when it comes to how people are choosing to pay these days, and what kind of new things are kicking traction with them?
Yeah, so there's kind of a UK versus rest of the world view here. What the UK has done, we've evolved kind of step by step, iteratively, to be super digitally active, but kind of card dominant. So 90% of your retail transactions at card are contactless. Now contactless has exploded. The wallets help that explosion, so Apple and Google. And that adoption is something that I don't think will ever change. I don't think we'll ever see evolve massively away from card. You might see it move more to a virtual card. You might see it, the increase in wallets. PayPal announced that they were coming to the point of sale space. They've gone to Germany first. They'll do the same across the globe. So that's another wallet coming to the market at point of sale. It's already there at e-com. Open banking, so account to account is the fastest growing payment type in the UK. Open banking is helping drive that, as are the ease of making transactions through your mobile devices. That's another kind of key trend. But the UK has a challenge where the Bank of England is focused on account-to-account payments more than it's ever been. We've got the National Payments Vision that's looked at payments more generally in the UK and for actually what do we need to do. It paused the work on the new payments architecture, which was improving faster payments, etc. We've still got a mandate to do some of the work on faster payments, like ISO, like certainty of fate, to help with the open banking piece. The Bank of England talks about the third rail. That means effectively outside of Visa and MasterCard, what is the customer option? Not just from a competitive perspective, but from a resiliency perspective as well. So we'll see that grow. We're at kind of a pivotal moment where, yes, we're seeing growth in certain angles, but will that change fundamentally? And then I mentioned the stablecoin piece. Again, it's credible. There's a lot of noise. The UK regs, I'd say, are a bit behind. I was with the Bank of England yesterday. In fact, the panel I'm on in a bit is with the Bank of England as well, with BIS. We're involved in as NatWest in experimentation in this space, because to my timeline point, that's setting what the payment trends will be next, as opposed to just the noise that we need to cut through.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I guess to wrap things up there, I mean, you've kind of led right into that, but what does the future of the payment space then look like to you? I mean, you touched on a few
I've
things.
probably answered it already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To wrap things up, maybe.
In the UK, I think we need to define what that vision is. The bit I will add is, I think the vision is importantly not just a payments vision, it's a digital asset vision, because more and more they are kind of going hand in hand. Payments is not just retail, it's wholesale. If we think of the Bank of England and the retail CBDC work, they're also looking at wholesale CBDC. They've also upgraded and improved RTGS. So there's like, we talk about a puzzle, there's pieces of a puzzle. We're not quite sure what the picture is. We don't have all the pieces, but the picture is very important, because ultimately it's about customer. And what are the customer outcomes we're trying to meet, and how do we best meet them, providing the right level of choice? Like cash. Cash is still prevalent in the UK. It's not dominant anymore. It's probably around 10% of transactions, but it's still millions of customers that are using cash. We actually did research that showed our most active cash users are not what you'd think in terms of those that are maybe of the older demographic or those that aren't digitally inclusive. They are digitally active 18 to 35s. So they're using it for budgetary reasons, especially in a world where everything's costing so much. So cash won't go in our lifetime, but it plays an important part of that choice kind of paradigm, physical and digital, and just being where customers are and being where they need to be and ensuring their payments work, right? So it isn't, we've focused a lot on tech. It isn't always about the tech. It's just about how to best meet customer needs.
Excellent. Sounds great. Well, thanks again, Lee, for taking the time out to speak with us. I'll let you get away to your panel and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Cheers, and thank you for having me.